Basic appraisal principles, page 42. Figure 2.4, snapshot from the 1004 URAR report, illustrating subject property and competitive property specific data. It's the sales comparison approach section, the entire page. On the top, it says there are blank comparable properties currently offered for sale in the subject neighborhood, ranging in price from $1 to $. Underneath that, it says there are blank comparable sales in the subject neighborhood within the past 12 months, ranging in sale price from blank to blank. Underneath that, it says feature, then subject, and then comps 1 through 3. Then it's the address section. Underneath that, it's proximity to subject. Underneath that, it's the sale price all the way down the line. Then sale price, gross living area, data sources, verification sources, value adjustments. All down that row is the description and the plus or minus adjustments. Sales or financing concessions, date of sale / time, location, leasehold, fee simple, site, view, design, quality of construction, actual age, condition, above grade, room count, gross living area. Down that row, it talks about total something, and then bedrooms and baths. Basement and finished rooms below grade. Functional utility. Heating and cooling. Energy efficient items. Garage / carport. Porch / patio / deck. Underneath that, it talks about net adjustments, and then adjusted sale price of comps. That's all the way down. That is the net adjustment and gross adjustments for your comps. Underneath that, it says, I did or did not research the sale or transfer history of the subject property and comparable sales. If not, explain. Underneath that, it says, my research did or did not reveal any prior sales or transfers of the subject property within 3 years prior to the effective date of the appraisal. Underneath that, you got to list your data sources. Underneath that, it asks, my research did or did not reveal any prior sales or transfers of the comparable sales for a year prior to the date of sale of the comparable sale. Underneath that, it says, report the results of the research and analysis of the prior sale or transfer history of the subject property and comparable sales. Report additional prior sales on page 3. Underneath that, it's the item, subject, comps 1 through 3. Underneath that, it asks date of prior sale / transfer. Underneath that, it's price of prior sale / transfer. Underneath that, it asks data sources. Underneath that, it asks effective date of data sources. Underneath that, it asks analysis of prior sale or transfer history of the subject property and comparable sales. Underneath that, it asks summary of sales comparison approach. And then underneath that, it asks indicated value by sales comparison approach. On page 43, It's a snapshot from the 1004 MC Market Condition Addendum, an example of data analysis use. Instructions. The appraiser must use the information required on this form as the basis for his/her conclusions and must provide support for those conclusions regarding housing trends and overall market conditions as reported in the neighborhood section of the appraisal report form. The appraiser must fill in all the information to the extent it is available and reliable and must provide analysis as indicated below. If any required data is unavailable or is considered unreliable, the appraiser must provide an explanation. It is recognized that not all data sources will be able to provide data for the shaded areas below. If it is available, however, the appraiser must include the data in the analysis. If data sources provide the required information as an average instead of the median, the appraiser should report the available figure and identify it as an average. Sales and listings must be properties that compete with the subject property, determined by applying the criteria that would be used by a prospective buyer of the subject property. The appraiser must explain any anomalies in the data, such as seasonal markets, new construction, foreclosures, etc. Inventory analysis. It talks about prior 7 to 12 months, prior 4 to 6 months, current 3 months. And then it says overall trend. Underneath that, it says total number of comparable sales settled, absorption rate, total sales / months, total number of comparable active listings, months of housing supply, total listings / AB rate. And this is all the market research analysis section. Total number of comparable active listings, months of housing supply, total listings / AB rate, median sale and list price, days on market, sales / list percentage. Underneath that, it's median comparable sale price, median comparable sales days on market, median comparable list price, median comparable listings days on market. And then down from that, you could choose from either increasing, stable, or declining. Underneath that, median comparable listing days on market. Underneath that, median sale price as percentage of list price. Seller, something developer, builder, etc. Paid financial assistance prevalent, yes or no? Explain in detail the seller concessions trends for the past 12 months. For instance, seller contributions increased from 3% to 5%, increasing use of buy downs, closing costs, condo fees, options, etc. Then there's a couple of lines to fill in. And then it says, are foreclosure sales, REO sales, a factor in the market? Yes or no? And if yes, explain. including the trends in listings and sales of foreclosed properties. There's 5 lines underneath that. Then it says cite data sources for above information. There's 3 lines on that. And then it says summarize the above information as support for your conclusions in the neighborhood section of the appraisal report form. If you used any additional information such as an analysis of pending sales and/or expired and withdrawn listings to formulate your conclusions, provide both an explanation and support for your conclusions. Figure 2, period 5. This form provides a reporting format to illustrate trending for such things as current inventory of competitive properties for sale, vacancy and absorption rates, employment and income statistics, population trends, and more. Step 4. Apply the correct approaches to value. There are 3 traditional approaches to value. Sales comparison approach, aka market data approach, cost approach to value, and income capitalization approach to value. Extra notes: in something by something to environment conditions, effective age is an opinion. Extra note next to market data approach, it says market data approach, the cost to repair or build it is next to the cost approach, and next to income approach says residential. Page 44. Based on the definition of the problem, the scope of work, and all data gathered, the appraiser must decide which approach to value provides the most credible valuation. For example, the appraiser is working on an appraisal assignment for a residential home in a suburban location. The appraiser has determined that both the sales comparison and cost approaches to value are applicable. Because the property is not income producing, the income approach does not apply. In another example, the appraiser has been asked to provide an opinion of value for a building that has 120 apartments, along with retail space on the main level. In this situation, the appraiser most likely will use the income approach to value. In the appraisal report, the appraiser documents each approach to value and includes an explanation as to which approaches are relevant. Step 5. Reconcile the indicated values to develop the final opinion of value. In this step, the appraiser reviews the entire appraisal and the value conclusions to determine the final opinion of value. The appraiser might give most weight to those items that were obtained through primary data and consider which approach is most applicable based on the client's intended use. For example, the appraiser is appraising a 1920 built triplex property in an urban neighborhood that has all units rented. All three approaches to value have been completed by the appraiser. The most applicable approach to value is likely the income approach because little data of comparable triplex properties is probably available to credibly support the sales comparison approach to value. Due to the age of the property, it's difficult to measure the depreciation and the urban location. Site value is difficult to determine in the urban environment with limited to no comparable site sales. The cost approach is less credible than the income approach. Step 6. Reporting of defined value opinions. The final step in the appraisal process is to communicate the appraisal and its results. The idea is to communicate it in such a way that it leads the reader from the definition of the problem through to the conclusion. This can be done through either an oral or written report. Written reports are presented in one of the following formats: self-contained appraisal report, summary appraisal report, and restricted use appraisal report. The primary difference between these choices is the level of information included in the report. The appraiser must decide the level of information to include in the report to communicate credible results. Extra note, next to self-contained appraisal report, it says contains everything you used. And then next to summary appraisal report, it says check boxes.